Okay, the game we're going to be looking at today is the Epic of the Peloponnesian War, done in, 2006, by J. Iwamosa and Kirk Kuhlman, if I've got their names right. That's the game we're going to be looking at. But before we do that, I'll give you a little bit of a history of my encounters with Peloponnesian War games. My first one was the old Steve Newberg game done in 1977. And that's so long ago, I barely remember it. I probably traded it away. I wasn't much interested in the war back then. So, not that it was a bad game. I wouldn't know. I just don't remember a darn thing about it. I later got the Mark Herman one, Peloponnesian War, done in 1996, I think. Then 2006, Epic came out, the one we're going to look at today. 2007, got this one, Tom Dagliash, Athens and Sparta by Columbia Games. You can see my video on that. I like this game a lot of things they did right with it. My only prejudice against it is my old one of I'm not really into block games, but that's a good attempt at the Peloponnesian War. I did get the remake of Mark Herman's Peloponnesian War, but ultimately didn't keep that either. I also had Hellenes by Craig Besink, which was a block game, therefore that's why I didn't keep it. And of course, my latest acquisition is Pericles by Mark Herman. We're going to try this, I think, next month as a 4-player. I have never played it as a 4-player, although I have done a short video on it, looking to dive into this one. But the game we're looking at is Epic of the Peloponnesian War. So let's get right into it. Now, although this game came out in 2006, I only have had this game for about 3 weeks, so I'm certainly a new kid on the block to this game. But I did, read all of the reviews of it on Board Game Geek, saw all the comments, so I knew what I was getting into by purchasing it. A friend of mine even lent me his copy, so I was able to examine the map, the counters, the rules. So I had a very good idea of what I was getting into. And, letting the cat out of the bag, this game is just not really for me. But we'll get into that when I show you the pieces and stuff. But I got the game for a good price, brand new, mint, unpunched. So I thought I'd take a chance on it. Because I thought, well, if I don't like the game, at least I've got a good map and I've got the research and maybe I can, fix this game up and make it more playable. Ultimately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I'll probably be abandoning this once and for all. So all of these, you fans out there who love this game, stop watching the video now because it's not a favorable review of this game. But for those of you who are interested, you might want to find out why. So let's show you the pieces and see where this video goes. Now, even the negative comments on this game on Consim or Board Game Geek or in the hobby press in general usually say that the map is beautiful and gorgeous and all that stuff. And it is a nice map. Map art here is by Terry Leeds. The map is nice, but I've got problems with it as far as the Peloponnesian War is concerned. It's got kind of like the Rick Barber style of graphics. I'll zoom in on those closer. It's overall a nice looking map, but I find it a tad dark and rather busy. And the other problem I have with it is the city-states of the Peloponnesian League and the Athenian League are not well differentiated. So at a glance, you can't tell who's who. Now, sure, when you get the counters on, you're going to be able to tell, but the counters, again, are not that distinct. So that's the problem I have with it. And I have seen some comments and errata on certain hex sides and stuff. I wouldn't know. I haven't got into that. I've not played the game. I've not really moved counters around on it. But most people love the map. That's good. I mean, it is a nice map, but I just found it game wise not that functional. Now, on the edge of the map, you've got these little boxes which give you the city states, the build pool, and the force pool. Over on the upper left there, you've got your map key. And over on the bottom left, you've got the Sicily box, which many games on the Peloponnesian War also feature. And over here on the right, the Persia box, place to put the cards, and a battle display. So overall, it's fairly functional, but unless you know your geography of this war, you're going to have a hard time finding places. I think there is a gazetter inside the game, but we'll get to that, the playing aids. But the map, yeah, overall, certainly not bad looking. Now, when you zoom in on the map, you can see how beautiful it really is. And in this zoomed in view, you can also see part of the problem, at least that I have with it. You can see the city states of, say, Sparta marked with a neat little Greek type building. There's Argos and Corinth. Now, the problem with it is that all of the cities look exactly the same. While these are all part of the Peloponnesian League, that's well and fine. But when you get over to Athens, it has the same symbol. And Thebes. All of the main city-states have the same symbol. Now, once you get counters on there, I admit, you should be able to tell the areas apart. There's lots of little anchor symbols for ports. That's good. The shallower areas of the Aegean Sea and stuff are well marked. And deep water portions you don't really tend to go into. Islands are well marked. And sort of the areas like Beetia, Focus, Locris, Arcadia, all that. In theory, theoretically, everything is marked. I can't slight it for that. And yet at the same time, man, it's going to take you a while to set this game up because you're going to have to really know your geography. You know, I just don't happen to know sometimes where the city of Clazomene is, things like that. Or if I can even pronounce it, Earthray. Yeah, Chios I sort of know, and Samos. But that's the map overall. It is nice when you get close, and that's half the reason I bought this thing in the first place. So that's enough to say about the map. Let's get a few counters on it and see what it looks like. Okay, when you start to get a few counters on there, it becomes a little bit more evident what's going on. Here we've got, see, Leader Brasidas, some Laconian counters. And the counters themselves are fairly clear. You certainly know that there's Spartans and stuff with the shield. There's several pieces of information on the counter, but there's only one number, so the combat is fairly simple but comprehensive. And you can stack them up, of course, and leaders are used to move units. We'll go up to Athens there. Like I said, once you get the counters on the board, it's a little bit easier to tell who's who. Blue for the Athenians. And over here, there's a Corinthian fleet. Now, the counters themselves, there's a heck of a lot of them. There's a lot. Now, see what I mean? Now, one of the problems of all Peloponnesian War games, not so much Athens and Sparta. And this is why designing a game on the Peloponnesian War is so difficult. The war lasted approximately 30 years. Yes, there was breaks in between, but more or less 3 decades. And the thing that hurts this game, in my opinion, and destroys it for me, is having monthly turns. Well, you know, hey, monthly turns in a 30-year war, this makes for an extraordinarily long and, in my opinion, unplayable game. I don't know anybody who's completed the campaign game. In fact, I don't know anybody who's even played this game. None of my friends here in Ottawa know of the game. It has not generated very much traffic. I think it would be safe to say the game is not a smash hit. There's your aficionados probably that really love this game and they think it's the definitive game on the Peloponnesian War. And I kind of agree with them that it may very well be the definitive simulation of the Peloponnesian War, but for me, it is not a game. Now, I can't speak from experience here because, like I said, I have not played the game. So don't think of this as a review of the game. It is not, because I have not played it. But from what I've read on Board Game Geek and stuff, even the player aids have their problems. For example, here's the Spartan allegiance and militants chart. Not really sure how it works, but they say that the counters are too crowded on this and the chart just doesn't accommodate the counters very well. I wouldn't know. That's just criticism that from people who have bought it. This was the tribute assessment chart. And for each of these city-states, you're going to have to work out the tribute that they have, the resources. And like I said, monthly turns, I just don't get it. In a 30-year war, why a monthly turn isn't necessary. But that was the design decision. And from comments, they say it slows the game down hugely. You're dealing a lot with just working out how much tribute you have and how much to maintain the army and stuff like that. Now this one seems to be, like the Spartan one, the Athenian allegiance and militants chart. Also means you're going to need a lot of space to play this game, I noticed. This one is, well, you got counter clutter, so this is meant to alleviate it. These are the Theban leader display and the Spartan leader display. So you can put your leader here and lay out your units on there. This, I would imagine, is necessary to play it. This appears to be, just the Athenian leader display. Nothing too earth-shaking about that. Now, your main reference sheet is here. All your tables and stuff, turn sequence, revolts, construction, supply, siege, morale, allegiance and militants, movement. A lot of work has gone into this game. A lot of research. Probably half the reason I bought it, just for the research alone. Combat chart, don't know how that works. Combat modifiers, and there's a combat display. There's a whole little sub-game of how a battle works out. I'll want to study that to see how it works. Probably something pretty neat in that. The rules booklet. Well, let's see. It's 36 pages long, and it's not an easy read. I did not find it easy to read, not too intuitive. I guess it's complete, but I really wouldn't know. I already had to ask questions about the setup. I had trouble setting up the game. When you set up the game, there's really no units on the board. You have to calculate the tribute and then build the units to put on the board. It's not the way I would have designed the game. I think any game you should have some counters on the board ready to go. But you start the game already with a procedure. You can see here's the combat display, very detailed on how it works. Looks like it's going to be kind of interesting in that way. There are scenarios, so no, you don't have to play the whole game. But I should point out that the map is big, and it's actually in two parts. You can see where the split is. So it's two halves. It takes a lot of real estate, but it's a nice looking map. But this is a study of the Peloponnesian War, in my opinion anyway. Not really a game, not too practical. Maybe a scenario would work. I don't know. I just don't have the energy to learn this game with monthly turns. Um, so I hate to be negative about it, but this is just my personal opinion. I'm sure there are people out there who just love this game. They think it's just the cat's meow. Good for them, but it's just not for me. So I guess I'm still looking for that elusive Peloponnesian War game. For now, it'll have to be Pericles again, which is complicated enough, and you really need 4 players. So I have to fall back on good old Athens and Sparta, which I'm not totally happy with either. So, caught between a rock and a hard place here when it comes to Peloponnesian War games. I wish I could say more about the game, but I really can't. Um, I picked this game up for a good price. It was $40 Canadian, which is a bargain. Um, I didn't even show the cards. I'll show you some of those. Um, the game is going for collector prices online, and I'll never know why. I just don't think this game is worth it. And I keep calling it a game, but it's in my opinion, it's not really a game. It's really a study. Cards look nice, the backs and everything, but I find them rather wordy. They're very wordy. Um, but I would think they're absolutely necessary to playing the game. It's not a card-driven game, card-assisted game, but I think these events would make the game very interesting. But the game isn't about these cards. The game, in the end, from what I've heard from other people, is really about collecting tribute from cities you've captured, working out what units you make, and just doing the same thing. Repeat and rinse for what? 30 years times 12? What, 260 turns or so? It's a long game. And I just don't have the time to invest in such a thing. So whether I keep this thing or not, don't know. Research seems sound, but you can do your research and create a thing. Yeah, your study, your magnum opus on the Peloponnesian War. But that does not mean it's a good game. You certainly cannot play this in 2 hours or less, or 4 hours or less. If you're playing the campaign, you'd be playing this for weeks and months. And I just don't have the time or the effort. I just don't care about playing a game that long. So anyway, sorry to be kind of negative, but this is just a personal opinion of Epic of the Peloponnesian War. Um, so buyer beware. Know what you're getting into. And the crazy thing about this is I knew what I was getting into. I did all the research, read all the reviews, and knew that this game is going to be pretty iffy. But once I got it, I realized, oh my God, yeah, it's true. Yeah, this game just isn't for me. Anyway, that's my closing comment, and thank you for watching.